Joe's Inner Child Podcast.
Welcome back to the Inner Child Podcast. Today's chat is with animator Forrest Whaley from Forest Fire Films. We talk more about his involvement with epic rap battles of history and his Lego video, Thor vs. Zeus, as well as his regular Lego Batman series, and videos like Lego Scooby-Doo vs. Pennywise. We have a hell of a time, so enjoy.
Literary Joe's Inner Child Podcast.
I know that I sound obsessed with epic rap battles, and it's because I am, but I wanted to mention a little tidbit. I remember I was rewatching your Thor versus Zeus episode, and there's actually a Star Wars reference with Amidala in the Lego of Amidala.
Oh, right, yeah.
In that, did you remember that, and did you have the same Lego at all in the newer video?
No, I mean, I definitely remembered it, but there weren't really many prequel lines or any kind of lines that related to the prequels, so there wasn't a great spot anywhere where I could have squeezed her in. The other figure I really wanted to use but didn't end up using was the three-headed dog, Fluffy, because he was at the end of the Zeus versus Thor, because that's, in Greek mythology, like forgot what his name
Cerberus?
is in Greek mythology. Cerberus? Yeah. I knew it was like something C. Yeah, and he hops up and barks right at the end, and I'm like, wouldn't it be great if we could include him in this rap battle as well? But there just really wasn't a spot for it. I didn't want to force anything, because any kind of visual that like detracts from like the line or like what they're saying, I really want to just go with the flow of whatever's happening. You can have little background things happen, but they can't be, a big three-headed dog would be like too distracting, unless they actually called it out.
Well, that's the thing, because there's a Cerberus in the first movie, the first book, the first Harry Potter book. So
right, yeah.
There's actually, that would be an interesting.
I was hoping there would be like a line about Fluffy or three-headed something, but yeah, Pete and his team, they go through like so many different iterations of the raps. Like there's like 7 different versions of this rap,
Oh, wow.
I think you can hear a lot of them on the Patreon that they post them all, I think. But
nice.
Yeah, it's a long process to finalize the finished rap.
Do you, and I know that they handle a lot of the writing, but did you contribute any of the jokes or any of the little punchlines in the video or in the raps?
I mean, maybe one day they'll let me do that, but for right now, it's just their team, and then they send it off to me. Sometimes Pete has like a few questions, like he'll be like, "Do you like this line better? Or do you like this line better?" And he'll field that towards me, and I'll give him my honest opinion. But it doesn't really go much further than that.
We haven't let Nick talk at all, so I'm gonna not naturally, very unnaturally segue towards him and let him take over.
It's
Nice.
so kind. I was actually curious, all this talk of Legos. I have a couple sets myself, but I was wondering, do you have like a filming Lego set and then like a personal collection of like going to the store and getting Lego sets that you're like, oh, that's cool, I'm gonna build that? Or is it all just kind of together?
It's all kind of just together. Yeah. I really don't have the space to like store sets for like aesthetic purposes. I wish I did, but most of my sets that I buy are for production. I'd say like 95%. If I don't have a reason to buy it, I kind of feel bad about buying it, because I'm like, why am I even? And this is just going to get broken next time I move, because it's so hard to move Legos too.
Yeah.
Every time you move, 50% of your sets get destroyed. So at least that's my experience.
Same. Oh,
Yeah.
Like
unless you
feel
super
that in
glue
my
them
soul.
together. Yeah, but yeah, so they end up getting sorted at some point anyway I have like a bunch of bins of just various colors. That's kind of how I do it. A lot of people get really specific with how they sort, this piece and this piece. I just do it all by color. So I have just these big buckets of red, big buckets of blue. And
That's smart.
I have my wife help me like break down broken sets and like sort them, and just have people come over and help me sort these bricks, because there's a lot of Legos.
Yeah, I bet. I would have fun doing that. I love Legos in general. I love building them too. I mean,
that's like one of the best parts, is like building the sets. That's so much fun.
oh yeah, definitely. I bet. I was also wondering too, like, I'm an avid follower of like the Lego Ideas page, because I love seeing what people just create off the top of their head that could become sets. In fact, the one that I have on my desk right now is the Ideas DeLorean. It's a little hard to tell right there,
Oh,
but
sweet.
yeah, I've got that one. And I was wondering, since you said you don't usually buy them unless they're for filming, are there any sets either like from ideas or just coming through the regular lines that you're like, I really want that one specifically to display?
I guess like I'm a big fan of all the modular buildings because they're actually practical, because whenever I'm putting together like a city scene, I'll use them. But they're also just really cool because they have like lots of interior details and they're really fun to build and they're really kind of sturdy. I think they hold together better than most sets.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and anything like, I'm trying to think of any specific set that came out recently. There are certain sets like that I would love to build, but they have like no practical purpose for me. Like the Lego Batwing that just came out, it's like kind of oversized, or like the Lego Batmobile that came out that's oversized. It's not to like minifig scale. So they're more just like for display and for coolness. But yeah, I mean, I if I'm building Lego, I feel like it should be like working towards something.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I have one more question too, before I pass it off to Lexi, because I think that she's probably got some questions as well. I was wondering, as far as like for all the sets with the city ones, since they've all been around for so long and they're so in depth now, do you think that there's a point, like, is there a particular point in the Lego brand that you think that you would like to see from the sets? I guess the best way to word that is like, they've grown so much as a brand and the way that you build them is so unique and different. Is there a specific thing you personally want to see from how the Lego engineers make their sets?
That's a good question. That'd probably be a better question from my friend Brian. He actually like used to work for Lego. He used to work for like Legoland, and he would design sets for them, and like he was a Lego master builder. So he always like comes over and he helps me build my sets actually, and he helped build a lot of the sets for the rap battle. And he just has these like techniques and these ideas that are just beyond my skill level, you know. So I've learned a lot from him, and he always has like very strong opinions on like what Lego should do, and you know what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right, and yeah, I'm just not as like critical like that, I guess, you know. The one thing I was like really hoping for years ago was a Lego Scooby-Doo set, and they actually finally did come out with a Scooby-Doo line. So I was like, that would be a perfect Lego set, and they actually did it. So I feel like eventually they get around to everything.
I think so. That's a really good point. I think
the one thing I'll say is just like, you know, they got to be careful about including too many pieces. You know, you don't want to overdo it. Sometimes they might have the tendency to like create new pieces and to solve a particular problem when there might be a more creative workaround with the pieces that are already pre-existing. Yeah. So you got to be careful not to kind of dilute the magic quality of the Lego bricks, you know, because other brands do that, and it's not as not as creative of a building experience, I would say.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I didn't think about it like that, actually.
Yeah.
So the Scooby-Doo and Pennywise short that you did was really cool. But the Pennywise Lego, is that an actual Lego, or did you have to paint that, or have you ever had to paint a Lego for something that you've needed?
Yeah, I mean, generally, if I need a custom Lego that doesn't exist already, I'll reach out to, I have a few buddies like on Instagram who do custom Lego printing, and they do really good jobs. They have like these professional printers, like the same ones that Lego uses, so they can design stuff and print it and send it to me, which is pretty useful. But most of the time it's just on eBay. You know, I can just find something on eBay from China. Like there's lots of like Lego knockoffs, like that Lego Pennywise. He's not official Lego. Like it's not even the same type of plastic. It's just a knockoff. It was like $5 or something. They're usually like way cheaper too, because they're like just from China and they're just like really cheap and they're skirting around copyright. You know, it's a dangerous game they're playing.
Do you feel like you ever skirt around copyright?
Not really, because like, you know, I live in America and the laws here about parody are pretty straightforward and simple. So I think, you know, it's like Robot Chicken, you know, like you can make fun of stuff. You can play off things in a humorous way. The trick is like, I think there would be a problem is if you were creating something that wasn't like humorous. If you're just creating something that wasn't a parody, that's just fan fiction, and you're selling it and making a profit, I think most of the time, you know, DC or whoever like wouldn't care because it'd be such like, you know, small fry type stuff. But if you're making like a serious profit, like millions of dollars or something, then they definitely would have a problem with that. But that's if you're not like, you know, if you're doing a parody though, it's okay.
Cool. I was really curious about that because I've always wondered. Thank you. You put it really, really well put. Super articulate.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's something I think about. Yeah, because like, you know, you have to keep things, you know, a parody and not just straight fan fiction. And I think that's important for the videos too, so they don't get too self-indulgent. You know, remember that it's all just for a laugh and it's all for fun. But you know, at the same time, I also think like characters like Batman or Superman, they should be in the public domain. Like I don't think DC should own them. DC is just some company, you know. Like I think they really belong to everybody.
My heart grew 3 sizes today.
Yeah.
I was the
We're all
Grinch.
Batman.
Now I am Batman.
Yeah. There's some law. I'm not exactly sure what the law is exactly, but after the creator dies, there's a certain amount of time that a company should be able to hold on to a property before it's in the public domain. Like The Wizard of Oz is now in the public domain. You can use Dorothy and the Scarecrow and sell them and stuff. But there's other characters that are being held on to, mostly from legal action by Disney, because Disney wants to hold on to Mickey Mouse. Because Mickey Mouse should have entered the public domain already, like in the 90s or something. You'll have to fact check me on that. But basically, they keep appealing to Congress and pushing that further and further. And while they're doing that, that sets a precedent for other companies to do that. So these companies can just hold on to these icons for an indefinite amount of time.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I'm learning.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
an impressive amount of information.
Leave it to Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Leave
right?
it to Disney. Thank you, Master Forrest, for your wisdom.
The corporate overloads, yeah.